Hello guys, this is Jibril once again on Authentic Plus TV. I'm here with King Daro the First, all the way from United States of America, and he's my king. He's an African king, and so today he joined us to share a word with us. He has been in Ghana for about 9 days now, and first of all, I want to know what informed his decision to come to Ghana.
Well, you know, I've over the years, you know, I've read a lot of information regarding the different African countries, and have attended several lectures from different people. And one of the main things that I've always learned is that there's a lot of misinformation that's given both to descendants of Africans that are in the United States and had been enslaved, their descendants, as well as Africans on the planet itself. And so one of the things I wanted to do when I was financially able to travel was to make sure that I come back to the continent, the motherland, and start to see for myself some of the things from my past or my ancestors' past, and learn some of the history without it being watered down by other sources. One of the places that was on my list, of course, was Ghana, and Ghana specifically because they were one of the major slave ports, and it was important for me to see that. We did go to Elmina Castle and Cape Coast Castle, and just to see the conditions there, it didn't surprise me really. What it did do was just reaffirm my sense of the inhumanity of man, and how because of greed and whatnot, conditions, we were placed in conditions by Europeans, quite frankly, that has us in the situation that we're in today. What I also learned is that it was, especially when I went to the river,
the Slave River site.
Yeah, the Slave River site. We spoke with, I believe his name was Kofi. He was the guide, and one of the things that he cleared up was this sense of us being different. He recognized, he reaffirmed that we both have trauma that was experienced, not just the Africans in the diaspora, but Africans right here in Ghana. That he also reaffirmed that although yes, there was a role that Africans played in selling other Africans, that it was merely a 1% situation, and that most people fought against it. So those kind of things, you know, that he reaffirmed, because one of the things we're taught, we are culturally conditioned, not just in America, but here as well, to look at each other with some level of disdain. Oh, the African. There was a time when you couldn't call me an African. How dare you? You know, and so coming here, meeting with the culture, getting a feel for these places was all my personal goal when I became able to do so. It's interesting, you know, the different cultures, you know, as an African American, even the foods to some extent are different, and so it's interesting to come here and learn about the different foods like banku. We actually have something in America that's similar, but here's banku and okra soup. And okra soup. I make okra at home, but it was different here.
That's right.
So, you know, the foods that are eaten. Also, what I thought was interesting is the sense of how you're named, and the significance of naming their children. And even though there may be some names that look different, they actually are the same. It's just a matter of accent. For example, my name, because I was born on a Wednesday, from the Akan region, would be Kwaku. But if you go to another region, instead of it being spelled with an A, it's spelled with an E. And of course, Jabril, you cleared it up, that's just a matter of the accent. No different from me coming from New York and saying a word, and someone from the South in the United States saying that same word with a different accent. So being able to understand those subtle differences is important, and that gives me more of a connection to the culture as well. So yeah, it's been an experience. I've checked this one off of my list as far as places to go, and just the hospitality alone. When we went to the village yesterday in the Volta region to Gourmet, that was a wonderful experience. Just to be there and to get that feel of a name. I understand the name is given primarily to babies, but the significance of the process, is what I was able to connect with. So yeah, it's really been a rewarding trip. Don't know when I will come back. It's an expensive endeavor. And there's I got a few other places on my list that I'd like to go to. But definitely I could see myself coming back to Ghana and trying to learn just a little bit more about the specific culture in this country.
Yeah, that was a great one. I really love that. You've even go deeper than what I expected. But then, so let's look at one thing about the culture. We moved from Cape Accra to Cape Coast to Kumasi, and then you learned about culture. We went to Volta region. What do you make of the culture?
Well, I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking, but let me say this: in the United States, I can remember when kente cloth first kind of became popular in the United States, and we loved it. And everyone was wearing it, and I had a kente cloth hat and a kente cloth sash, but never, I knew it came from Ghana, but never really understood the connection. Well, being able to visit one of the shops, especially the shops where they are using some of the old weaving machines to give it a sense of authenticity, and seeing it actually made, it just gives me a sense of pride, Also that when we went to, in the same area, we went to this cloth stamping place, the Adinkra, and just seeing that process, it's interesting to see that some of these artisans, and how they started, and just the bare bones way that they're putting these different products together is really interesting.
Yeah, one thing unique about Ghanaians and Africans are that even every fabric that we use communicates. We have a way of communication with the fabric that we put on.
Yes.
Yeah, how does that make you feel as an African?
Well, that makes me feel good, and that gets back to one of the reasons it's important, I think, to come here to Ghana as well as other locations, is that you're going to get a sense of the significance or the backstory, behind it. You won't hear this. It's not in any of the commercial education books. You don't learn it in school, and one of the reasons you don't learn it there is because we are not considered to be significant in the world as far as world events go. We are always an afterthought. But in fact, much of what is done was first done by us and taken and as their own, without giving us any due credit. So yeah, that's an important thing, and you won't get that unless you do a lot of serious research, because you won't find it in any of the books. I also think it's important, and I did speak to someone else while I was traveling around Ghana, and I remember asking them about the education process here. And I think if I had any complaint about that, and that is to not have an education system in a country, and this is getting a little political, I don't know if I should go there, but in a country where who have been victims of slavery, and a country where it's for the most part a black country, to not have an education system that reinforces the truth about the development of that country is I think shameful. To cloud over the relationship that we've had with Europeans coming in, it's shameful. Of course, they're not lies, they're really the truth. And I think it's important for our youth, may it be here, may it be in the diaspora, to understand the truth about things, not for the purpose of hating, but just for the purpose of raising their own self-esteem and sense of self-worth. Because that's what makes an individual go and perform, because they see their history as being one of great people. And so it's important. That's one of my only, I think, I got a couple of other little pet peeves, you know, but I'm not going to put them on the air.
That's right.
But I think that's, when I open up a book here, there's an expectation that this book will not look the same as a book in the United States.
That's right.
Where they don't want to talk about the true history, you know, and I would hope that they would at some point change that, you know.
Okay, that was a beautiful one. So your final words were to your colleagues in the diaspora about Ghana and Africa.
Well, my final words is that if you have the means, that I think it's important to come and at least see for yourself, tour the country. I really came for some shea butter, but it's done up north, and so I didn't have time to go up there. I got to come back and go see how that's done.
That's right.
But come here, see the country, meet the people, because as long as we have these notions in our mind about what it's like, and they may not be positive, as long as we have these notions in our mind, that's not going to be helpful to unifying, you know, us as a people. And so I think it's important for people to come and experience it. You don't always need to come someplace. No, there's no big beaches that we're laying on and palm trees with coconuts falling out of the sky and then sipping. No, I came here for the educational benefit, and I've gotten that, you know. And I think if you're looking for the same thing, that it's important to come through and see what it's like.
Thank you.